Somebody asked me for a simple thing that I could do to help my pool game. And I was like, interesting question. I think that one of the most simple things that you can do that will actually help you considerably. With that being said, it will require extreme persistence and effort and discipline, would be to maybe in your next practice session or the next time you play, and I would recommend beginning this journey when you're not competing at first, so you get a little bit more habitual and it'll be a little bit easier over time, because this is a lifelong type habit. Honestly, it's something that I've been doing unconsciously for a long time, and it's helped me grow as a player, and that I've recently kind of realized how important it is to continue to make strides towards improving your pool game and your life in general, really, because I think that there's analogies, which is to observe yourself while you're doing an activity. In this case, we're playing pool. Observe the way that you go about doing it. Observe your physical actions. Observe your choices. Observe your reactions and your responses to different situations that are recurring, and start to catalog and get a sense of the patterns that you're exhibiting and expressing. And then from that, you can compile sort of a database of sorts and start really making decisions about things that you want to make changes about, and things that you do like about your game as well. And you can lean in on those as well. You know, for instance, I think this is a common thing that many players deal with when they're playing pool. Open table opens up, you know, if you break balls, maybe you don't make a ball, maybe you do make a ball. You come to the table, you have an open rack, several balls on the table, say 9 ball, all the balls are on the table. You know, your opponent breaks, they don't make a ball, you've got a shot on the one, everything is open and ready for you to just run them out. It's very typical that the first 2 to 3 to 4 shots, things are going to go, you know, you're going to make the ball, you're going to position, and then as the rack continues, most players will eventually make a small error or a larger error in position through, you know, sometimes you need to hit it a little bit fuller to get the cue ball to go where you want. Maybe hit a little bit thin, you still make the ball. Now you're out of line a little bit. In that moment, that little mistake that happened can lead players to making an error in judgment, trying to overcome the thing that they kind of screwed up on. And through being objective about watching yourself doing this and seeing yourself multiple times, you start to get a sense of like, well, if I continue to make the same mistake, you know, which leads to inevitably you get really tough on the 7 ball, even harder on the 8, maybe you miss the 8, maybe you end up with a really tough shot on the 9, and now you just leave the 9, or you leave 2 to 3 ball out and your opponent just picks it up like no problem, you know, and then you've just got defeated through, really the way I look at it, and most people should see that it's a preventable error. The difficulty lies in understanding, well, where did I go wrong? At what point did it become actually a big deal? And it's not easy to just be like, oh, well, I missed that shot and that's where I screwed up. You got to kind of backtrack and think back into the rack. Okay, where did I really go wrong? And that is a difficult exercise. One of the ways that you can improve at discerning where your errors are coming from is through a constant vigilance, sort of a constant observer mentality, where you're not just trying to just execute the shot. You're also trying to observe your decision making that leads you to deciding what shots to shoot, seeing exactly what's happening when you shoot shots, and taking that information in objectively so that you can see where it leads, so that you can see, oh, okay, this is where I am lacking definition in making a good choice, or this is the moment where I could have seen that there was an easy safety opportunity and I chose to take the difficult shot because my original plan was to just run these balls out and that was the shot that I was going to shoot. However, now it's a little bit more difficult and I didn't change my mind and adapt my strategy to tailor it to this new situation where I'm difficult on this ball. I may not be able to execute the run and win the game. And through making an adjustment, you can shoot probably an easier shot than you would have. And it's difficult to see necessarily in the moment that maybe when you got out of line that you were actually thinking too far ahead or whatever it was that caused you to kind of lose your focus on that shot that you screwed up on. And then you focus on that shot like that was the thing that you made a mistake on. And it was, but there was another mistake potentially that could have led you to not even be in a situation where that final killer mistake occurred. And that my proposal of sorts is to spend energy just observing as you play and kind of cataloging your habits, like I said, so that then you can really decide, okay, these are the changes I need to make, and I can actually look deeper into my own psychology so that I can make really good adjustments that are actually going to make positive impact versus just kind of just jumping and throwing those balls back out there and just shooting them until I make them. There's a reason why we're not being successful, and some of the time it's just a mental thing or an emotional thing or an ego thing that's causing us to make poor decisions or have poor execution, and that we got to look into the deeper meaning of why that's happening. And a lot of that is beginning of through just observing yourself and not being judgmental. You know, once you see that you're a mess, it's easy to get down on yourself. The thing is that we don't really have anything else to do other than work to try to progress ourselves to the better place, to the higher game, you know, to be successful more often. And in order to do that, we have to see where we're failing, even the little failures, and then make adaptations and changes over time to eliminate them and further like polish up our game and get stronger and tougher and more balanced. Appreciate everyone's time. If you've found value in this, I appreciate a like, share, subscribe, all that. And any comments below would be appreciated as far as how do you think, or what do you think about this? Are you doing this yourself in, you know, either unconsciously or consciously, and how's it working out for you? Thanks everybody. Have a great one.